All right. Kristen's dancing backstage. I wish you all could see her. I mean, she is going for it. It's like a rock concert back there. I love it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Beyond the Camera. I am your host, Jamie Hain, and I am all about getting you on camera to help you grow your business. But growing your business, as you all know, is so much more than video. And the purpose of this show is to bring in guests with expertise in other areas of growing a business. And they're going to share their expertise beyond the camera. I am so excited about my guest today because it's something a little bit different. We haven't done something like this before. We are going to talk about how you go from stagnation to success. Specifically, we're going to talk about financial stuff like cash flow and 90-day plans and financial tracking and all of that, which if you know anything about me, makes me kind of go, and the eye starts twitching. But Kristen Alwine, who is the Chief Freedom Officer of her business, which is called Alignment CFO, is amazing at this stuff. She has this really cool way of telling stories and making these complicated, scary words make sense. So please join me in welcoming Kristen to the stage. Hi, Kristen.
Hi, thank you. And you know, when you said that I was behind the stage and that you couldn't hear me, I was thinking you couldn't see me.
We couldn't see you. I feel like I want to play the music again just so people can get a sense of you rocking out. But I'm not going to. I'm not going to put you on the spot like that. But I am going to put you on the spot because look at you with your pink nails. How about you showing up with my brand colors? I freaking love it. You're the best. You're the best. You're the best. Okay. Tell the people.
I will tell you.
Yeah.
So some people know I moved to Texas and Jamie and I actually aren't that far, but I need to find a new nail place. Oh. And I was going to, and then I'm like, wait, Jamie's colors match my nails. Let me keep them and do the show, and then I'll figure it all out next week.
I'm going to make a note. As a neighbor, I like to give Kristen recommendations of, mostly so far it's been places to eat, but I will make a note and I will send you what my favorite nail places are so that you can get it done. Even though I'm a big fan of the pink, Okay, please introduce yourself, Kristen. Tell the people who you are.
So I am Kristen Alwine. I used to be a chief financial officer, and I am now your Chief Freedom Officer. What does that mean? I help you get your financials really stable, learn them, take the dread out of numbers, and make them fun. Because numbers are fun, and just like writing tells a story, numbers tell a story. Plus, there's a whole lot of energetics around, right? Jamie always says, what you track grows. But we have a tendency that we think of math class or we think of this and we go, I don't like numbers. So I put them away, hoping that they just do something or they change or they go away, or I'll give it to somebody else and they can take care of it. But as a business owner, it's your cash, right? So understanding and knowing your cash is so important to your business.
Well, I also imagine there's an element, and maybe I'm like revealing too much about myself here, but where it's like, if I don't look at it, I can ignore it. Mm-hmm. Like maybe it's not good. Maybe it's a hot mess. And so if I just don't look at it, maybe it'll just go away. But it won't go away.
It only go away.
Yeah.
And if you actually look at it, and if you actually see, expenses, we have set expenses that come up at certain times. And if you put them and you lay them out and you see when they're coming, you know what type of revenue you need to generate, what type of sales, right? And would you get a little bit more motivated? And then there's a really neat thing, right? From an energetic standpoint, if you look at money, right? And here I am, accounting major, the whole 9 yards, and I'm telling you about money is energy. So take all of those, spreadsheets and everything. If you think about it, money likes two things. One, it likes to know that you're responsible, and it likes a place to go. And how does it know that you're responsible and that it has a place to go? You track it. So,
so let's just go to let's get to basics here. So for somebody who's never done anything like this, like I come from the corporate world. I know you come from the corporate world. I had to do those things, and it honestly makes me better prepared to run my business because of it. But not everybody has that experience. So when you say track your revenue, what does that mean? What is track? Give me the introductory explanation of what does revenue tracking mean.
Okay, so in our business, I'm going to go real simple. Revenue means cash coming in. Okay, so it's the cash coming into your account. Every time you hear that little ding that you've got a notification, whether you're collecting money for Stripe or PayPal, however you're collecting your money, right? It's the money going into your account. So by doing that, if you're tracking it as it's coming in, certain times you can actually see, right, depending on how you have your revenue structure, that money's coming in the same time all the time. Let's say you have a membership and everybody signed up at a specific time. So you know that you're roughly getting $100. Okay, we're just going to use numbers that are nice and easy. And you know when that's coming in. The other thing is when you've got Canva and you're not on the free version and you're on the paid version, you know that when that comes out each month. So you can put in a schedule. Real simple, right? And there's a couple of different ways that you can do it. Most banks, you can upload a spreadsheet and then just do that occasionally and know what the expense was for, which is as simple as you can get, right? Which is better to do it. And then you can then start tracking and seeing, hey, you know what? Just like you know when your car bill's due, you know your electric bill, you start seeing those things in your business to go, I've got these expenses, and you know what cash is coming in.
So there's a couple of questions, and they're not even phrased as questions, but I hope you can kind of talk on this. So Denise says, I've got ADHD brain, and it fights the numbers. Somebody else says, numbers are not my thing, right? I got all sorts of numbers people in my family, but still. What, I mean, is it just simplify it? Like maybe keep it super simple like that? Is that what you're talking about? Is that a way to get started?
Okay, I have ADHD too. Right, I will flip my numbers, right, which is really not good when you're the chief financial officer.
No, I imagine not good.
And I get scared, but some of the things, and you guys can tell me if this works for you or not, and it's part of even the 90-day plan. There's certain things that if I have structured, it helps my ADHD. Oh. If I have a schedule, it's like, oh, I put the number in here. Okay. So my first co-op job that I ever worked, I got a report. I plugged in the little numbers. 9 months of doing this. And every week I made sure that they were zero because that's what I was supposed to do. The end, I read my review, and she proceeded to tell me that I was reconciling XYZ cash, like per month, per week. And I'm like, I had no idea that that's what I was going to do. After that, I started asking and understanding the tasks that I was doing. But if you take it as if it's just a game, make a game as you're just taking a spreadsheet and you're just basically taking information from one and plugging it into the other so that it looks different and then you can see it differently.
Love that. It's like gamify the task that you don't like to make it more fun. Super fun. And,
it's numbers, right? If you were to play with 2 marbles and picked up another 2 marbles, you happen to have 4, right? Think of it how we learned. Where people get messed up is they think of math class and then they think of like geometry and all of those classes that made your head spin, right? And you were like, oh my God, right? What is this? If you go back to basics, right? And I shouldn't say this, but right, my husband will be going like, and I'm like, so what are you counting?
Yeah.
Right?
2 + 2. Okay, got it. Yeah.
Right.
I got it.
So, and then the last thing that I'm going to say real quick on this piece, and I just, did a post, right? In this entrepreneurial world, there's a lot of things, right? But we learn how to write good copy, right? Because we want our post to get engagement.
Right.
I have never been a word person, ever. But I knew it was important to my business. So I had to, right? It was a belief that I had that I was bad at writing. It was a belief that I had to overcome, because if I never wrote anything, we wouldn't have met.
Right. That's right.
Right? So when you start thinking about what are some foundations, what are the things that I'm learning, just like everybody's here learning to be good on camera. It was one of the first things that when I left corporate, I was like, I need to get good at this camera thing. Right? I stood in front of boardrooms presenting, but I'm like, and I presented on Zoom, but it's way different.
So different. So different.
And I always tell people, if you ever want to see some like really bad videos, come to my group. The old videos are still in there.
You need some entertainment on a weekend, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. So Kristen, somewhere in there, you said these words. You said 90-day plan. And I know for those that are in the Go Live League, you're going to actually show them how to create a 90-day plan. But what is it? What is a 90-day plan, and why does somebody need one?
All right. So I'm going to go into the why.
Okay.
Because the why is more important than the actual plan.
Okay, good.
Right. So have you ever been in a wedding, or you're going on vacation and you say, I'm going to lose weight by, and you planned out your vacation a year in advance, or wedding, and you go, I got time. Oh, I can do it. And I can do it. And then all of a sudden, 2 months before it, or you go for that dress fitting or whatever, and you're like, oh, I got to get to the gym. I got to get there. All of a sudden, you're like, I'm not going to eat. Right? Because with our brain, if we think we have too much time, we go, oh, I can do it later. Okay? So if you condense that into 90 days, 90 days can add structure. And all my ADHD people, it can add structure. It can get rid of some of that white space. And therefore, it gives you functionality to do, hey, I've got this event coming up. I've got this coming up. And it gives you a way to basically set deadlines that are internal to yourself, right? Because you work for you. You no longer have an employer saying, I need this by this date. You no longer have that structure. And so therefore, if you build that structure in, what ends up happening is you can literally, and it's been proven, you could get done technically more in 90 days than some people can get done in a year. It also builds momentum. And you're doing it in bite size. Depending on where you are in your business, right? We can't do everything all at once. We can't learn everything all at once. So then you can layer things in that make it easy to then continue to do it. Because at the end of the day, 90 days to do something, helps your brain go, well, it's only 90 days. It's only 30 days. It turns into 60. It's only 90. And then by then, you've got a routine. Okay. So I'll just give you one quick example. This is the boot camp that I run. I normally run it twice a year. So 2 months ago, I started, and now I'm running it every month. 3 weeks before the boot camp. And if you know about filling out programs, people buy in the beginning and there's that kind of lull, and then people are at the end. My mother ends up getting on life support. Okay, she's fine. Okay, but my parents, when I lived in Pennsylvania, they still lived 2 hours away. So it's not like they lived around the corner. So there was a lot of my time now going there, doing things on the phone, not sure, right? And there was a whole lot of emotional. And yet, because of this plan, because of how it was already set up, I still sold out my program. And yes, I still took care of everything I needed to with my family. So it makes things easier because when I wasn't doing it, me and my ADHD brain, I was like, that was 3 months, right? And I said to Jamie, right, she does her challenge every quarter. And Jamie and I met right before her last challenge.
Yeah.
So think about, right? And there was a lot of great, she did a post on her personal page. What have you done in the last 90 days? And there was a lot of really great positive things. My question would be, were they really planned or did they just happen? They were all amazing. But what happens if you actually put in a structure with big rocks, right? And the people in the VIP are going to say, like, it's big rocks. It's big rocks that relate to your goals, because that way you're staying focused, you have intentional forward action, and you are constantly moving, right? We're moving no matter what. But we can get kind of stuck in that spin. Much rather get out of the spin faster.
It's almost like, boy, I hope this happens, versus what you are talking about is actually having a plan and setting goals and having some structure around it. You know that I'm a big, like, I love doing 90-day plans and I have my whole year planned out and all that, but it doesn't come naturally to a lot of folks. It's not easy. And I think you have such a cool way of making it and giving people tools and tips and inspiring us all to realize the value of doing this. Just like you were talking about earlier, right? There are lots of things that you might not like to do, but they're good for you. Eating your vegetables, good for you.
Right.
Right?
And when I was in corporate, and that's kind of how I started this, the 1 year I didn't make my goals because I just thought I was going to add time. New company, department. I got to make my own goals. I was like, this is so easy, right? It is an extra, honestly, $20,000 that is just like, write the check to me now. I had it, right? And who doesn't want to work like an extra 20,000? Isn't bad, right? And obviously I had a nice salary, but this is bonus, right? This is the kids' college. This is all this stuff. I didn't make it.
Ooh.
It was the first time in my life that I didn't make it. And I was like, why didn't I make it? Well, I did the wedding dress thing. I thought I had plenty of time. I thought I could just add it on. I thought an extra Saturday here. Well, what I didn't realize also is my boss was really good at giving me special projects.
Distractions. You got distracted from the goal, right?
Yes.
Honestly, you guys, how many of you have ever been distracted? Whether you have ADHD or not, it's easy to get distracted, for sure, off your goals. Right. But when you focus on those goals, boy, you can accomplish so much more. And that's your point, right? Like, all these people have great. And
you do it every day. So you're doing a little bit every day. So the second year, and this is part of why I left corporate, I ended up having 3 surgeries. One completely major, and then two that weren't small, but not expected. And we hit the goals. Our department hit the goals. Everybody, because of the fact that this was in place, right? And it was one of those things when I left corporate, I was like, oh, I'm leaving that behind. I'm leaving that behind. And then I started, when I wasn't being as successful as an entrepreneur as I was in my career, I'm like, what am I not doing? I'm like, oh, that's what I'm not doing. So I'm not running my business like I ran my departments.
Right. Right. You're not pulling those skills that you learned over into this. Now, how is a 90-day plan different from financial forecasting? Because they're different things, yes?
They are, right? A 90-day plan is what events are you going to do, right? You put down the dates, but here's what happens. When you take that event, and we'll just take my boot camp, okay? It'll be easy, right? I do it every month, so I know the dates already. I can go through my calendar, and the people in the VIP will get to see kind of how I do it, because I don't do it in a calendar. I actually do it in a spreadsheet, and I go down with it, and there's a reason.
Okay.
But then I have the forecast. Okay, so how many people do I want in that program? They tie together. So I can look at kind of that plan. How is that going to, right? Because I can put numbers on a spreadsheet that say I'm going to make $100,000 this month. I can do that math real easy.
That's a fun exercise to do. I know.
And I can go, that's nice, and put it behind me. Right? Or I can say, all right, what's the support behind it?
Got it. So it's like how you achieve it. It's the details behind it.
Yeah.
I get it. Okay. Last question, and then I know I want to talk about this boot camp that you do because it's so freaking cool. For people who are just starting, or I think that I saw a comment earlier where somebody said, I just don't have any cash coming in yet. When does one start this process? When do you start tracking your revenue and having a 90-day plan and doing the financial forecasting? At what point in your entrepreneurial journey do you start?
Sooner than later. Okay. First company that I went into was losing money for years. Was about actually foreclosed on the mortgage. It was like, yay me.
This is gonna be fun.
But they never really were doing forecasts. They weren't tracking their expenses. They were just going, I don't have any cash. I just don't have any cash. I don't have any cash. Okay. So now, here I am, Miss Energetics now, and understand, what are you putting out? You're putting out to the universe that you don't have any cash. So that's a part of it, right? The universe likes, right, being responsible with your money, as I said. And therefore, if you track it and you see it, right, if I know, we'll just talk about a car payment instead of, right? If I know I have a car payment up, what do I need to do now to make sure that I can make that car payment?
Right.
I'm going to have to obviously talk to people. I might actually have to make a couple of offers because, right, I got to tell people what I do. And then I've got to offer, right? And I might talk to a few more. And yes, there's a whole energetics about like coming from a lack position. But the universe will kind of work with you if you say, hey, I need to do this. Hey, I need to do this, right? And so I can give you some really crazy examples. All right. So left a job. Was kind of deciding what to do, and I wrote down kind of what all of our expenses was, and I sat there and I said, I need it. Okay, I needed at least $130,000 salary in my next job to make sure that I covered everything. Go through. Was doing contract work, get a job, have a conversation. We're going back and forth. Of course, salary comes up. And she's like, hey, I'd like to offer you X. And I said, I really need 130,000. And I got 130. Okay. When we start understanding and we start realizing some of the energetics about what we're putting out there and what we believe, it will show up. But you need to trust it. And then, so I do a lot of things that have to do with those energetics. But first off, you need to understand what you need, right? Because I also walk into a lot of companies, and that first company, their revenue was not exceeding their expenses. They actually kept shrinking the revenue. And that's why it's always important to look at both sides, right? What revenue do I need? What revenue do I need not only to cover my expenses, actually have extra, and to make sure that I paid myself? And then it goes to the behind the scenes. What do I need to get there, right? What do I need to, how many people, right? If you know how many people you convert, how many people, how many conversations, what do I need to do? And then you start moving. And then, like I said, that 90-day plan then builds momentum. So everything can tie together and work really nicely, but it's a different way of thinking.
Yeah. And this is what you teach in your bootcamp, right? You want to tell everybody, I mean, it's called the High Flying CEO Bootcamp, which seriously is the funnest name ever. Just tell everybody what are they going to get in that? And I did drop the link. I can't remember if it's up above or down below, but the link to join is up there. And then you also, they get 50% off with a special code. So tell everybody what is the High Flying CEO Bootcamp? What is it?
What is it? So kind of take everything we talked about. All right. We start with the fact that as the CEO, you are the visionary of your company. I love, right? Jamie is great at helping people get really good at camera. So if she goes into her business and says, I just want to help people, right, get good on their camera, she can technically do that for free, right? She's making an impact. When I was a Girl Scout leader and service unit manager, I made a ton of impact all free. Okay. So, but what is the vision? Where do you want to go with this? Right. And it's perfectly fine. You don't need to have a multi-million-dollar company dream. But what would you like it to afford you? Right. Besides the impact. Because like I said, we can all volunteer and do this and make amazing impact. We have impact on every single person we meet that then has impact on every person they met. So we're always having impact, right? So take and get really clear on what that vision is, okay? Having that purpose. Where are you going, right? You don't plan a trip across the country and go, you know what, I'm going to start here and I have no idea how I'm getting to X. Right? There's in the United States, you could go probably 15 different ways to get from Pennsylvania to California. Right? So where do you want to go? And then it's a matter of that big vision equals kind of what your goals are. Where do you want the company to go? So we go through that just because a lot of people aren't clear. And then we take that and then we start breaking in this 90-day plan. How do you then start from where you are? Not where I'm at, not where Jamie's at, because we're even in different places in our business, right? And you're in a different place too, from where you are. What are the next most important things in the next 90 days that you can start building to then add in the forecast and play with numbers? And I break it down super easy. And then I go into the last day. How do you manage cash? Especially when you're starting out and it's not consistent. And what can you do to start making it consistent? And we talked about revenue. And one of the things that we didn't talk today is like revenue is so important. As I said, right, the company that shrunk its revenue, right? And going back to what you look at, it spans. So you pay attention to your revenue. You grow your revenue. So in the boot camp, you get the trainings, but here's the thing. You get one-on-one access to me for the entire week in Slack. Okay? So that alone
is worth the price of admission for sure. And they get 50% off. So okay. Now I know you've got some homework for everybody to start applying this stuff now. So besides signing up for Kristen's high flying CEO Bootcamp, you're going to give people a way to start. So let me just remind everybody of a couple things first. First, Kristen has volunteered to do a VIP session for those of you that are in the Go Live League, and you're going to actually give them a 90-day spreadsheet that they can use. We're going to specifically talk about the 90-day plan, right? That's the plan. That's the goal.
Yeah.
So guys, that's huge. She's going to give you a huge jump start there. So for those of you in the Go Live League, we will be in Zoom as soon as we wrap up here. That link has gone out in chat. It's the same link we always use. So if you can't find it, message me and I'll send it to you. You can also find it on the learning portal so that you can get in there and join us. I can't wait. I'm so excited for it. And for those of you that are like, wait a minute, what is this VIP thing? How do I get in there? If you are part of my monthly membership, which is called the Go Live League, every time that we do this Beyond the Camera show, these wonderful experts will do a 15, 20, 30-minute session in Zoom to go deeper and give you all sorts of extra tools. And here's the cool thing. Not only are you going to get Kristen's, but you also get everybody else who has done a session up until this point. And let me tell you, there is some fabulous, fabulous stuff in there. So if you are interested, I put the link. I believe I put the link for that. If not, I'll make sure you have it. Message me and I will get it to you. So Kristen, what can they do to start applying some of the stuff that we've talked about today? What homework can you give them?
And I had like 3 different answers, and I'm like, do I want to use any of them?
All right, I'm going to take it off screen. She's going off script.
No.
I love it. Script.
All right, so I guess here's the thing, right? As we've talked about, we learn a lot of things in our business. So start thinking about numbers differently, right? It's a belief that you have, whatever that is, right? So even if you just start with your personal account, but obviously if you have a separate business account, and just start tracking them and just start noticing it, you will, just by the fact, it's like one of those things. It's why they say that, if you saw, right? My husband is great about prioritizing. Not. So he goes and he's like, we can't do this now because we can't do this now. And I said, your lunches cost $12, $15 a day. It's a lot of money each month, but he doesn't think about it because it's just, I just went to get lunch. Right? So even if you just take your bank account and start monitoring what you're actually spending. I had a couple $700 days at Target that I was like, how come it always seems like I'm going paycheck to paycheck? And this is when I was in corporate, right? And then I realized Target was costing me a little bit more than I was expecting Target to cost.
Target can do that. It can sneak up on you. I know.
So from a money aspect, start there. From a mindset aspect, your next thing would be write down everything you believe about money and why you believe it. Because 99% of it is something that we were taught, you saw, and more than likely, it's not true. There's evidence that would say, right? Yeah. It is like in the United States, right? I grew up with the, 89% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. You get a raise and all you do is you buy that next bigger house.
Right. You upgrade things.
Right.
Cars.
You are basically taking what you're earning today and spending it today, right? And if you don't have a 401k, right? And as entrepreneurs, you have that ability, and that's a whole separate issue, right? Most people don't know that. But how do you start building those habits?
Right.
And I know people don't like that word, but it is a habit.
It is
right?
a habit.
We spend our money and it's priorities. It's really not. And I tell this to people all the time and they're like, what? And there was a time that literally I was still making $200,000 living paycheck to paycheck. And I had to change my mindset of how things worked. And people are like, what do you mean? Right. And especially if you've never made that kind of money, you're like, oh my God, how is that possible? And even my husband's like, how is that possible? I'm like, well, you're spending part of it with me.
You were right there with me when we bought that, remember? Kristen, I want to show you this comment because it's so good. This you're gonna love this from Lori. Working in corporate, I just got a huge light bulb in my coaching business. I cannot believe I didn't think about this before. I'm guessing what she's talking about is pulling over the lessons from corporate that we've all learned, that all these things that you're talking about today, all of us have learned those if you ever worked in a company for somebody else and you had these responsibilities. You just got to implement them into your business. And that's exactly like this right here is your mission. That's what that's exactly what you're trying to do.
Yeah. And that took me a while. So I was an entrepreneur and I had my own accounting and consulting business for about 10 years. And then I went back into corporate, and then I was a CFO. And then when I came out, I was like, hey, I'm just going to walk into this. Right. And I got lost in all of, you need to learn this, and you need to learn this, and you need to learn this. And fortunately, I had contracts and I had connections. Right. So it was easier for me to make that switch, because I had still had contracting work that I could do. And then I was like, what's going on? And, people in an entrepreneurial work go, oh, I'm doing this for the freedom. But at the end of the day, every company started as a small business, and we don't remember that. Right? Yeah. Where did Apple start? Where did Microsoft start?
In their garage. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And look at them now. And how did they get to? They had to put systems in. So it's great that I get to walk my dog 4 times a day, but I still have systems in place so that I can do that.
Oh, love that. Love it. All right. We're going to wrap us up here because we got to get over to Zoom for those of you that are in the Go Live League. But I want to just give you guys a quick look at what's coming next. So our focus for May is all about how do you use your personal profile? How do you go live on your personal profile? How do you amplify that? All the parts and pieces that I use to grow my business on Facebook. We flushed the format this month, and that's what we're focused on. So I am super excited about the next 2 guests that we have coming up on Beyond the Camera. Not next Friday, but the week after on the 19th, Caitlin Unger, who is one of the graphic designers that I use regularly, she is going to talk about how do we make your graphics pop. So you're creating graphics and you're using them on your personal profile. How do you do that well? Oh, it's going to be a good session. I'm excited for that. And then our very own Lisa on the 2nd of June is going to talk about reels and stories, because that's definitely a part of this Facebook ecosystem that we talk about, or that I know Lori was on a Beyond the Camera and she talked about the ecosystem. How do you make all the parts and pieces work together? So we're talking about stories and reels on the 2nd. So I hope you guys will tune in for that. Kristen, thank you for being my guest today. Thank you for sharing all of this and starting to just twist our perspectives a little bit and help us think differently. Is there anything you want to say in closing as we wrap this up? Any final words of wisdom for the people?
So first off, thank you. And always know anybody that's in the group that's watching this, that sees it, right? Come into my DMs. What I will tell you is, right, I'm not a big cold DM, but start a message that said, hey, I saw you in Jamie's group, versus just a friend request, because you'll get a better response. Because
Name
right
drop.
now, yes, because right now, right, the way my leads and everything, I'm getting 20 to 30 at least friend requests a day. So therefore, do that. It's great. Be intentional, be present. Okay. And as a lot of people have said, right, the things that tend to scare us the most are normally the things that we need to look at. Numbers can be really fun. We just have to change the perspective.
So true. So true. Thank you, Kristen. I see a couple of comments in there about where's the link for the Go Live League. The best way I can direct you right now is to go into the learning portal. It's in there. You can always find it in there. If you can't find it, message me. and I will send it to you. Okay. All right, Kristen, we're going to be over in Zoom here in a second. Stay on with me here while I wrap us up, and then I'll give you a couple of just extra tips so we know what we're doing. Everybody else, Thank you for being part of this session. Thank you for all of the great comments. Kristen, after this, you may want to go in. There's a lot of comments that I imagine you will have fun responding to and asking additional questions. There's some really good nuggets in there that we didn't get to bring on screen. So have fun over there. Thank you guys for participating and being here. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.